We do have some off-season news to cover. Twins have made a flurry of moves in the last week or so. The latest, and perhaps least exciting, is signing first baseman Ty France for $1 million to a non-guaranteed MLB deal. Struggled quite a bit last year. Notably struggled a lot more after a hairline fracture in his heel. But Jeremy, we'll start with you. Thoughts on the Ty France edition? Did this do anything for you when you found out a couple of days ago? What's your takeaways here?
So it didn't really. And then when I saw, I mean, it did from the perspective of I'm like, wait a second, he's not very good, and we're gonna see him sign a major league deal and be on the 40-man roster. And then I saw the contract details, and I was like, that makes sense. And so I think you give the guy a flyer. He's a pretty horrible defensive first baseman. So we went from Gold Glove Santana to a disaster over there. But I think it's a pretty there's no risk to this. So if he's awful in spring training, you cut him. If he's even serviceable in spring training, you bring him north and you see what he can do over the first 3, 4, 6 weeks of the season. And then if he's awful at that point, you cut him and you lose very little. It's basically a let's see what he's got, and if there's nothing left, we're not out anything. So I don't mind a deal like this, given what we know about it, and there was obviously a hole at first base, and this is a chance for the Twins to fill it for nothing if it works out.
Yep. Theo, your thoughts? Prefer giving France a shot over there, or some combo of Miranda, Julien, or other that may have been locked into first base before the France signing?
It's pretty harmless. It just fills that 40-man roster spot as you got rid of Brent Hedrick to, clear that space open for him. So even if the non-guaranteed, just so people understand, means they just get a spot on the 40-man roster. It's not a guarantee that they're going to make the team out of camp. So it's pretty much a safety net non-roster invitee position where the non-roster invitees could get cut coming out of camp versus the other way. So I think this really just alleviates some of the pressure of adjusting to the position on a more full-time basis for Miranda and Julien, because we're going to see them play at first base pretty frequently this spring. But honestly, because of that heel injury, France became the worst defensive first baseman in all of baseball. And an old friend, Do-Hyun Park, pointed that out with his new baseball savant job yesterday with his signing with the Twins, and that, his -8 outs above average, -8 out of the -12 came after he really suffered that heel injury in early June. And I think I did see him play in Seattle when I was out there last year, and he didn't look as bad, but that was towards the end of May. So it's no risk, as Jeremy said, but I think, if he's not doing well, they're going to stuff him down in AAA because he has more service time than, Mike Ford. If Mike Ford's not doing well, come middle May, end of June, somewhere in that time frame, he's going to get cut from the AAA roster. But you can stuff Ty France down there, and if he's performing well, they like to have that extra depth, have the floor cleared out just so you have somebody there that's serviceable while you have your younger guys kind of figure out what they're doing positionally. And I wrote this on Zone Coverage earlier today, just, how this is going to affect the game of musical chairs at first base, because that position at the AAA level is more than filled. But again, nobody's even close to the same defensive tier as Carlos Santana. As you mentioned, you go from the guy who led all first basemen last year and outs above average at 12, I believe, no, 14. And then you go all the way down to -12. So there's a 26-point difference with what you got. So we'll see what happens with Ty France. For $1 million, it's not the end of the world. And, it's somebody. It's better than nothing, but, it's still 50-50. But the good thing about him is he gets on base, but just not how you would like all the time. Hit by pitches. He's led Major League Baseball on that in the last few years. He had 27 in 2021 to lead the league, and then 34 times. He's going for Craig Biggio's record if he could stay in the league long enough, if he gets 20 plus hit by pitches a season. So there's that to consider.
So I'm not sure that it's just as easy as sticking down AAA, because he's got over 5 years of service time. So even if he had options left, which I'm not sure if he does, he would have to be okay with that.
The non-guaranteed promises he's on the 40-man roster, so if he doesn't perform well enough in spring training, they can stuff him because it's a non-guaranteed contract.
No.
I thought that's what it meant.
No, it means that he's not guaranteed any money if they cut him.
Oh,
you have to have options to be sent down, and so
which he doesn't. So he has to make the camp or then get cut.
Right,
Thanks
and I
for
think
clarifying
basically it's essentially a minor league deal with an opt out. Only it's a major league deal without the opt out. Right? It's the same thing. He just can't be stuffed down there, and he might willingly take that. Like you can do that, right? You can accept that assignment. I think at this point he's fortunate to have an opportunity, and if the Twins say, "Hey, we're not going to keep you," we'll do that. Unless he's got, his agent will be looking for other opportunities for him.
Right.
But yeah, I foresee him being either, yep, he's on the 26 man, or hey, thanks for giving us an opportunity. See you later type deal.